Hi folks, I'm Chris. This is my show, My Life is an Adventure. It's New Comic Book Wednesday again. And it's Rebirth again, DC's Rebirth. There were 2 titles that came out this week for Rebirth, as far as I know. I only bought one of them. I thought really long and hard about buying Aquaman. And I decided now, it's not that I don't like the character, it's just I really don't. I'm reading enough of the Rebirth titles the way it is, and him I just didn't care to read. But the one I did pick up was Josh Williamson's, or Williamson's, I guess, because it's possessive, Flash, Rebirth #1. I asked last week if the next issue was #2 or if it was #1 of the new series. I guess the series isn't going to be called Rebirth. That's just what they called these one-shots that were a jump-off point for all the newbies like me. So next week will be not next week, but in 2 weeks, I guess, will be #1 again, followed by #2, 3, 4. It's supposed to be 2 a month. Or maybe it was just 2 this month, and then next month it'll be 1 issue. Hopefully it'll be 2 a month, but it'll definitely satisfy my need for Flash material over the long summer hiatus from the TV series. So Williamson writes a couple other books. Nailbiter, and Birthright, which also came out today, but I haven't picked it up yet. I had to go to a different shop to pick this up because I hadn't ordered it in time. And I actually picked up both covers because I wasn't sure which cover my local shop would get, so I wanted to make sure I had both Rebirth covers. And I need to pick up that Green Arrow Rebirth cover, the standard cover, because it's at $10 right now, and I need it. So the storyline. I'm not familiar with Flash at all, other than dude runs really fast. Secret identity, Barry Allen. Works as a police forensics officer. And all that I mostly knew from the old, I guess, 80s or 90s television show featuring John Wesley Shipp. But I don't know if... But I couldn't tell you if I knew that beforehand or not. I'm pretty sure I didn't know that beforehand. But as a fan of the TV series, there's a lot of stuff that stood out to me. We've got... Detective... let's see, is it Detective Singh? Or... wait a minute, hold on. Director Singh. We've got Director Singh from the TV show, which I know he came from the comics originally. A lot of people were excited that they had a gay character on the TV series, and a lot of people pointed out, so I know he was in the comics before the TV series, the new TV series, and of course, he mentions, let's see, where's that? No, he mentions. Hartley, and someone will have to remind me what the guy's first name is. Pied Piper, and the guy that eventually becomes Pied Piper, or maybe he already is, I'm not sure, and he's a good guy. But yeah, Pied Piper's mentioned. We get a mention of Iris West, and we see Henry Allen. Now, someone's going to have to tell me if the dad accused of the mom's murder plot comes from the original Flash mythology, or if it's something that was in the TV, they put it in the TV series and is carried over here. I'm not certain. One thing I want to point out is he mentions let's see, where is it yet? He mentions Zoom, but he calls him Hunter Zolomon. No, he mentions Zoom, but he calls him Eobard Thawne. Now, in the TV series, Eobard Thawne was Reverse Flash, and Hunter Zolomon was Zoom. I don't know if that's something that they've changed or that in the TV series, or if it comes from the original comics, and they're just, letting us know right off the bat. What's interesting is Zoom here actually wears the costume that's most recognized for the TV fans as Reverse Flash. Like I said, I don't know much about Flash before the TV series, so all my knowledge comes from the CW TV series, and so this all could be correct, and the TV series has changed it up. So anyway, the big, I guess I can spoil it now, it's been 2 weeks. One of the big plot points in this is the original Bart Allen returns. Turn to the splash page here. The original Bart Allen, the one everyone remembers pre-New 52, is back. He's older, but he's still in his Kid Flash costume. Kid Flash, because he wasn't Impulse. That was Bart. Did I say the original Bart Allen? I'm sorry, I meant the original Wally West. My fault. I was thinking of Bart Allen because the costume I know is... the costume I recognize from Bart Allen. So the original Wally West is back. It was mentioned in the DC Universe Rebirth that there were actually 2 Wally West. Iris had 2 nephews from 2 different sides of her family, I guess, or two different sides of the West family, named 2 different young men Wally. And both were named after the same guy, but they never met. So the African-American Wally West is still going to be around in Teen Titans, while the ginger-haired white Wally West will be in Titans. 2 separate books, neither of which written by Williamson. But he shows up here. Basically, we get more to the stuff we saw in Justice League Rebirth, or not Justice League, but DC Universe Rebirth. And we actually get a continuation of that in which Barry goes to see Bruce Wayne, Batman, to talk about what is going on, what they figured out, which they don't know much. And so they decide not to tell the rest of the Justice League because they don't want to give them misinformation and panic them. Which, I mean, they know something's up, they know someone's out to get them, they just don't know who. So they're not going to share what they do know. It's interesting that the Central City Police do not exactly trust Barry, or at least they're worried they can't rely on him. They think he has too much going on, and he's got a case that's remarkably similar to his mom's death, and they're worried that that's going to affect him. And then a man in a yellow blur shows up in the last panel, presumably Zoom. But we don't know that yet. I'm not sure how I feel about the art. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. Some of it reminds me a little of Pat Lee, who did one of my favorite Superman, Batman World's Finest, which actually was about Tim Drake and Connor Kent. But some of the art looks really good. Some of it I don't like so much. It just depends. Flash is in Central City. Unlike Green Arrow, who is in Seattle instead of Star City. I'd like to know what Mr. Williamson's opinion is on where he thinks Central City is. A group of us were talking about the DC cities where we thought they resided on a map, like what states they were in. I thought Metropolis was like San Francisco, with Gotham being New York, or and then Bloodhaven being Brooklyn. Coast City would probably, in my opinion, be Florida. Where Pensacola is. Star City actually feels like, Seattle could be Star City. As far as I know, I never really gave it much thought. Central City, I consider, I thought maybe St. Louis. But a buddy of mine, somebody said no. Metropolis is definitely New York, and then Gotham would be Chicago, which, Chicago, so they're kind of close, but not super close, which if Gotham and New York are Chicago or Gotham and Metropolis are Chicago and New York, then I guess that could put Coast City on in California, maybe where I don't know where you would what would be considered. I'm not familiar with California enough to tell you what cities are on the coast. One of the is Torrance on the coast. Anywhere over there. But yeah, somewhere where airfields are, which I guess nowadays is anywhere. But when I think airfields, I think Pensacola, but I guess Cape Canaveral maybe. But yeah, I'd like to know where Josh pictures it, or maybe DC's told him Central City. You need to write Central City like it's this town. But I think St. Louis. It's a nice central part of Indiana, Indiana is where I'm from. It's a nice central part of the U.S. So yeah, that's where I think it is. And I'd also like to know if he knows why they moved Green Arrow to Seattle instead of Starling or Star City. Starling was in the TV show. So anyway, I like the book. It's a great jumping on point. If you're a fan of the TV series and don't know much about the Flash in the comics, you're going to find a lot that you recognize, some stuff that you don't. One thing, Barry is blonde here. He's not a brunette like he is on the show. I'm guessing he was blonde originally in the comics. The artist is Carmine Di Giandomenico? Is that how you say his name? With the Ivan Placencia as colorist, and Steve Wands is the letterer. Carl Herschel did the cover. Jason Pearson did the variant cover. Ahmed Totoro was the assistant editor, and Brian Cunningham was the editor. The variant cover, I don't know who signed off on this. I don't love the variant cover. I don't like the distorted look of the Flash. If you could look at it. I don't know. Didn't like the variant cover for Green Arrow. Not a fan of this. We will see what the variant covers for the rest of the ones that I buy look like. So anyway, love the book. It's definitely going to give me my fill of Flash stories while I wait for next season and beyond, because as long as Williamson's on it, I will most likely be reading it. I really like some of his other stuff. I haven't read all of his stuff, but Nailbiter and Birthright both I really enjoy. So yeah, great book. Definitely can't wait to read more of it and see where it goes. It's probably better than the Green Arrow because I don't know. They were both good. Neither one really had a clear villain. Well, I guess Green Arrow had a clear villain. This one kind of had a hint of who the villain was. But there was a lot more I recognized in this than I did in Arrow. So it didn't feel while it was a jumping on point, a fresh start, it didn't feel as unfamiliar as Arrow did. So yeah, really excited to see where this goes. And hopefully you all enjoy it. And so yeah, that's my video. Let me know what you thought. Did you guys read Aquaman? How was it? Yeah, so I think next week Wonder Woman comes out. And probably one other book, I'm not sure. Let's say in the back of this, let's see real quick. Doesn't say. I'm sure the DC Universe Rebirth actually has a listing of what comes out what week. Actually, I know it does, but I'm not going to pause my camera to get up and look at it. There's a spotlight on the Flash on the back page, and there's also a two-page spread of Darwin Cook's artwork. Darwin, of course, passed away a couple weeks ago. Terrible. I actually just watched his what was the Justice League, the animated Justice League, New Frontier. Really interesting movie. I watched it 2 weekends ago. So yeah, I guess it's been a while ago that he passed away, because if I watched it 2 weekends ago, and that was when I watched it after he had passed away. I'd never seen it before. But yeah, of course, it was based off his book and his artwork. So yeah. All right. So that's my review. I really enjoyed the book. Can't wait to see where it goes to next. Not terribly impressed with the art, but some of it looks great, some of it not so much. So yeah, that's my review. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you're reading. So yeah, have a good day, folks. Bye.